Let's spoil Deadly Premonition. Not quite a let's play, partly a review, but definitely all spoilers! So you know that there Twin Peaks? A little show by Mark Frost and David Lynch about a small northeastern American town devastated by the untimely death of a young blonde woman. A big city FBI agent comes to town and eventually shakes loose all the dirt and muck underneath. Twin Peaks also often veered into the strange. Well, Deadly Premonition is about a small northeastern American town devastated by the untimely death of a young blonde woman, and a big city FBI agent comes to town and eventually shakes loose all the dirt and muck underneath. Deadly Premonition also veers into the strange.
Wait a minute.
Now, on the surface, you might be tempted to say Twin Peaks and Deadly Premonition are exactly the same thing, but not so. Sort of. Deadly Premonition is the first 2 seasons of Twin Peaks. This game came out before The Return, but filtered through a low-budget Japanese video game. While wearing its inspiration on its sleeve, Deadly Premonition manages to be its own wacky and wild interpretation that comes to wildly different conclusions than the source material. Deadly Premonition is janky, broken, runs on naught but thoughts and dreams, but is one of my favorite games of all time. But now let's spoil the plot.
What is that mysterious humming behind your Xbox? The controller that tipped over the couch when you got up for your 10th Mountain Dew. Happenstance? Or great-grandpap sending a message from the beyond? Nobody could say. Sometimes video games are scary.
It all starts on a peaceful, sunny morning. 2 of the scariest children from the uncanny valley and their grandfather discover a body in the woods. Jim Green, the kid's grandfather, recognized the body as Anna Graham. She's hung up on a tree in a peculiar way. Okay, these kids are definitely growing up to be serial killers, right? Right. The local law enforcement arrive on the scene, and soon after, everybody in town knows the sad news. But fret not! The FBI is somewhere. The 2 horrible children grant the FBI agent passage.
Sorry to keep you waiting. It will start soon.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines.
Zach, if you can hear my voice, could you respond?
The game makes us respond as Zach. Does that make us Zach?
Good.
More on that later, I suppose.
Sure, that's one way of looking at it, but it's totally wrong.
Enter the scene, FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Lighting a cigarette, talking about Tom and Jerry on the phone, going over case files on his laptop, and driving a sports car. What a cool dude. That sounds like a recipe for success. Special Agent Francis York Morgan is a man of action. His fate is ultimately his to decide. He decides who lives and who dies. Until a figure in a red raincoat shows up.
I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
You know, sometimes you take every precaution and who could have guessed? Life just sort of happens. He's fine. His cigarette and laptop might be totaled, though.
Zach, there goes the civilized world.
So, Agent York action battles his way through the rainy woods. Facing fierce, ghostly juggalos and a mysterious and sassy figure in a red coat. Now, you might be saying that the action looks like an off-brand Resident Evil 4. Well, imagine that, but some underpaid programmers had to recreate that in an evening, and you've just about got the feeling.
Zach, can you give me a logical explanation about what that was? Never mind, don't answer. Life is fun because of the mysteries. Right, Zach? There's definitely something in this town. Do you feel it, Zach? The coffee warned me about it.
Agent York makes it back to the main road, awkwardly sloshes his way forward, and we shall never speak of what happened in the woods again. Yes.
Now you were very late.
He meets up with Greenvale Deputy Sheriff Naomi Watts. I mean, Emily Wyatt.
I didn't think you'd keep me waiting in the rain for so long.
I didn't think you'd be such Whoa, be nice. Hey, come on, come on.
Francis York Morgan? Please, just call me York. That's what everyone calls me.
That's the shot they went with. All right, good, yeah.
Good, that's good.
York takes a liking to Emily.
She's easy on the eyes. Definitely worth a trip to the primitive world.
He rightfully comes across as a bit awkward.
By the way, don't mention anything about what happened back there. Bullseye. Amazing. She'll think you're a psycho. Don't want that, do we, Zach?
Welcome to Greenvale.
Ah, hey, don't do that. Sheriff George Woodman teleports into the scene. Did he sneak into the scene from under the bridge? Who could say?
Please, just call me York. That's what everyone calls me.
You appreciate that, Agent Morgan.
The hell did you just call me?
You just think of this as a vacation. Take it easy. Enjoy the nature here. You don't have to be a tree worshiper to appreciate the wildlife.
York is A-OK, laying low and letting George take charge of the investigation. King George makes it clear who's the boss. York blows smoke in everybody's faces, and they all drive together into the town of Greenvale. York is back in the mysterious Red Room. He is greeted by a slightly less scary Uncanny Valley child who tells him to hold the right trigger to hold his breath. This will allow him to get past the Juggalo zombies. This comes into play only a handful of times later. There's no challenge, you just hold down a button when the game tells you. Yeah, it is a very tense and scary scenario. If you've never been in or heard about scary and intense scenarios before. Having learned the vital skill of holding one's breath, York wakes from his dream.
Zach, the symbolism in my dreams continues to intensify. A forest of red trees, a carpet with red leaves, a strange doll, and twin angels. But that child is what bothers me the most.
Me too, York. Me too. York gets down to business straight away. First things first, coffee and a change of suit. We don't want the FBI to give us a stinky agent penalty now, do we? There we go. Extra for trendy clothes. Thanks, Uncle Sam. The United States government will reward their agents for shaving, watching the weather report, and just about any deed the suits upstairs deem fine and dandy. And you're gonna need that reward money because the crackers are $35 in this town. What the heck? I guess your old favorite brand of cracker just came back in style. Speaking of crackers, the hotel owner.
Is everything all right, Mr. Morgan?
Aside from you and me, there seems to be no other guests or workers around.
What's that? The salt's in that white shaker there.
Thank you. I was wondering if there were any other guests or workers here.
Running a hotel is kind of like a hobby of mine.
That's nice. Polly, it might help to hear you better if you could sit a little closer.
This scene is amazing. Amazing. Great shot. It's like a sitcom scenario. Two people improbably seated from each other, trying to hold a conversation while the goofy music swells over their voices. It's a touch of genius. I don't know if the music volume was intentional, but it's genius all the same. And now for the most important ritual in the game. Similar to another famous FBI agent's more, let's say, holistic approach to investigating, Agent York has a special ritual of his own, like reading tea leaves.
Did you see that, Zach? Clear as a crisp spring morning. F K in the coffee. I knew I could count on it. Never fails. Now then, let's get going.
F.K. in the coffee. Convinced these letters will mean something, Agent York makes for the police station. King George left him a company car. Well, isn't that dandy?
I have to tell you, Zach, this place simply amazes me. The keys were left on the front hood, and nobody stole the car.
Well, isn't that dandy? And now for a masterclass in character introduction. What fun! York meets Sheriff's Assistant Thomas McLean.
I'm Thomas McLean, the Sheriff's Assistant.
Hey, that's what I said.
I want to help do everything I can to help the investigation. I just can't believe Anna was murdered. She was such a bright and lovely girl.
Did you know her well?
Thomas has clearly been affected by Anna's murder, and possibly the water supply. But hey, you know what? That's everybody here. Thomas apparently made a whoopsie and lost the squirrel key to the meeting room. Problem is, there are several squirrel keys squirreled away throughout the station, and it is up to the FBI to find the correct key. That's our Thomas. Oh, Thomas. While exploring the station, York notices... Gasp! Raincoats! What could this mean? Probably nothing. The southern flying squirrel seems to match Thomas's description.
Okay. Well, Zach, we just got here, and we've cracked a big case already.
Oh, what fun! And the meeting can finally go underway. Emily gives the skinny on Anna. York zones out, puts his cigarette out on a plate, and fixates on a biscuit.
Biscuit? I've never tasted a biscuit this delicious. Where in town can I get these?
Show me your biscuit ways.
I baked them myself.
Do not look at me, Evertine Eyes.
That's amazing. What are you doing in law enforcement? They're very particular about biscuits, I'll have you know. The balance of milk and butter you've achieved here. Oh, my.
Agent Morgan, the autopsy's ready. We're going to use the car outside.
I was hoping we could use the car inside today. With the dandy's biscuit placed firmly in his memory banks, York, Emily, and George drive for the hospital. Along the way, the three chums got to know each other a little more.
I don't get on very well with women. You might be surprised to hear.
It was awkward. The cars in this game control like a heavy, wet bar of soap being dragged across wet pavement. It was also awkward.
Pretty big hospital.
Inside the
Hello,
Greenvale
Sheriff.
Hospital, they're greeted by freckly Fiona, who tells them Dr. Usha is waiting for them in the computer room.
Here to see Usha. Do you know where he is?
I think Dr. Johnson is in the computer room.
A computer room? In a hospital?
A computer in a hospital?
Nice to meet you, Mr. FBI.
Now I've heard everything.
The computer room is where our employees share a computer.
Very nice to meet you, too. I'm FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan.
She talks about the book she's reading, and the story is eerily close to the scenario at hand.
A small traditional North American town close to the Canadian border. A peaceful, traditional place. However, that peaceful town is shattered by a terrible crime. The murder of a local girl. And that incident causes grief and sadness to everyone in town. But everyone feels the seditious, heinous evil still lurking, alive. Yes, much like the situation right now here in Greenvale.
Fiona, don't say that.
This, too, was awkward. Now where's this Dr. Usha? Usha? Now where's this Dr. Usha? Agent York gets it in his head that Dr. Usha is putting them through some rigorous challenge of the mind.
Does the doctor like playing games by any chance?
What do you mean?
A big brain challenge. Hey, can you read a sequence of things and then regurgitate them back in the same sequence? Good. You're a big brain genius. A ridiculous notion, surely.
The doctor awaits below with the deceased.
Oh, okay. No, that's exactly what's going on. After the fall of the challenge of Usha, they meet up with the doctor.
Let's get started, shall we?
This is Agent Morgan from the FBI.
I think the cinematographer fell asleep. Cinematographer? Hello? Hello? Can anybody get these people in frame?
Nice to meet you. I'm Usha Johnson.
FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan.
We don't have much time.
Brisket night at Shoney's is about to start any minute.
Next time, try challenging us without obstructing an investigation. You've angered the monarch.
Usha offers his findings and observations.
Note that there are 2 exterior wounds, pressure marks around the neck, and a long cut running from chest to abdomen. Blood marks on her right hand tell us she was gripping something round in her right hand.
There's an imprint of something in Anna's hand.
The perpetrator cut out Anna's tongue.
Agent York surmises that Anna lost her tongue in a sort of morbid kiss of death as an act of passion.
But I am man enough should the moment call for it.
George, how about you?
I'm very passionate. Yes. Especially when it comes to women.
Or a nice charcoal smoked beef brisket.
George, the perpetrator is just like you. He's passionate about women. He's a passionate kisser. This was a kiss of death.
And with one finding of a certain red seed, the case suddenly comes under the FBI jurisdiction.
This case is now under the jurisdiction of the FBI. I'll go on ahead. I can't take it any longer down here.
Agent York once again finds himself elsewhere.
Zach, they're here.
York chases a vision of Anna. Maybe because it means something. Or maybe because the publishers said people wouldn't buy their weird open-world Twin Peaks game without some action sequences shoehorned in. Who could say? Then, as suddenly as it appeared, it was gone.
Agent Morgan, if you're so desperate, then why not smoke 2 at once?
That's our agent, Francis York Morgan. Hey, George, how about you get smoked instead? Rolling down the hospital is Harry Stewart and his aide, Michael Tillotson. Harry Stewart's father started up the lumber trade and founded this town.
Will someone please turn down that blasted saxophone devil music?
Mr. Francis York Morgan, haste won't lead you to what you seek. Keep your eyes focused on your footing as we speak. So says Mr. Stewart.
Oh, God, he's doing the rhyming thing again, Michael.
Nice to meet you, too. How did you know my name?
Tell him he won't have a name, as he's buried in an unmarked grave if we're late for brisket night at Shoney's again.
Mr. Francis York Morgan, information desires you, just as you desire information too. So says Mr. Stewart.
I said no such thing, Michael.
Harry,
Can it?
Stop trying to get in our way. Keep this up,
I don't understand.
and even you'll have to answer
Michael,
to the law.
brisket night. Michael. Abuse. Elder abuse.
Mr. Francis York Morgan, with each rain our town goes mad. To our
I give up.
state, unpreventable.
I concede.
So sad. So says Mr. Stewart.
Thanks for the welcome.
Then we shall
More like
depart, Mr. Francis York.
Pork organ.
That's how he always is. Always spouting that nonsense. Don't give it any thought. It's all gibberish.
With everything settled at the hospital for the time being, York, Emily, and George head for the scene of the crime to interview the first witnesses, but not before bickering a bit beforehand.
Agent Morgan, if I could just give you a friendly warning.
Are you really upset about me taking over the case?
Again, it was awkward.
And you gain nothing by antagonizing me.
I can take you off the case if you wish.
Stop it, you two.
Hey, don't make me turn this thing around and call your father. Okay, Mom. George and Emily explain that the land on the park belongs to Harry Stewart, and they go in to meet Jim Green and his horrible Uncanny Valley goblin children.
Please call me York. It's what everyone calls me. And you are Jim Green?
That I am, son. I keep these woods.
Well, you're doing a fine job.
Well, I used to be a tree surgeon.
Until I had to leave the practice and branch out. Just a little tree surgeon humor there for you. Okay, I'm just gonna spoil it now. They did it. They did the murder. It was them, officer. There they are.
Come on, they're just kids.
But surely they know something.
Zach, you see that? Twins. Just like in my dream.
York has to interrogate those kids. Look at their cold, beady eyes, like a doll's eyes.
Come on, they're just kids.
That doesn't matter. You agree with me, right, Zach?
How heartless. Do you ever think of other people's feelings, ever?
Emily's right. That's stone cold.
No, this is stone cold.
Sorry.
We didn't know until then.
We know now.
Anna was the fairy of the forest.
She was a goddess.
She smiled when she saw us.
She looked so happy.
A goddess of the forest, huh? York tries to get a profile going and searches the area for clues. A depression in the grass in front of the tree. A can of the pickles. A photograph of a vest with holes. And a wood chip with rusted metal dust. And the heel of a red pin heel shoe mischievously hiding in a bird's nest. I guess York had a strong hunch to shoot the bird nest and it paid off. Now what does all this mean? George had his own idea.
Morgan, I see what happened here.
Did I mention the audio balancing in this game is really good?
I was really enjoying it. Sicko. Knelt down. Disgusting.
George can keep his ideas to himself. No, they all decide that by the pattern of the heels, it must have been a third party.
This sucks. Change it.
He's planting a seed of thought, Beavis.
Oh, well, don't mind if I do.
Yeah. Seed.
Change it.
Whoa, Gwar.
Oh, yeah.
She lost her heel.
You know, I met Francis York Morgan once.
No, you didn't, foot knocker.
He's a real sharp dresser.
Shut up, Beavis.
Now I get it. He was kneeling to pray in front of her. Just like the twins said. She was a goddess. The unsung, or unknown subject, offered prayers to Anna's body. Its bitten out tongue, massive body wound. Once dead, Anna was transformed from an object of despite into one of worship. So who is Miss Stiletto Heels?
According to Emily and George, only one person in town would wear heels even out to a place like this.
Miss Stiletto Heels is a third party here. She's not the murderer. How many women wear high stiletto heels in this town, do you think?
Oh, I should think most of them have at least one pair. I do too, before you ask. But
the one person stupid enough to wear heels in a place like this. The owner of the art gallery, Diane.